Hello. All right. I'm on a roll. Have to say, I'm Jacqueline Nichols, and my confession is I don't share very easily my personal stories. So once I got myself in the hot seat today, and my hair was doing good, and the office lighting was good, and I had a quiet evening, I decided I'm diving in. I'm diving in head first, and I'm going to share some more. This is going to be my stories about good dates and not so good dates. And I'm going to go way back, I'm getting older here. So I have a few stories, and I want to share them from relatability, some things that were really great and some things that not so great. So I'm going to tell you my stories on dating. The PG ones. So I think about this one guy. It was early 20s. He was like, I'm a millionaire, and I was doing daycare business out of my home. And one of my daycare moms said, yeah, totally go for it, just so you can say you went out with a millionaire. And I was like, I don't know, this guy sounds a little arrogant. Actually, back in those days, met him out of Willamette Week, a local paper, which is kind of comical in itself. I met this guy, and he takes me to this beautiful restaurant, gorgeous restaurant. And right away, he is totally dominant, arrogant, beep, beep, beep kind of guy. He orders steaks for both of us, tells the waitress I am his fiancée. I give her a look, and she's like, oh, you poor thing. And then tells me that I can't eat all that steak, and that I'm not allowed to take it home in a doggy bag, and that just would not be appropriate I'm a woman. And this is literally while I'm taking my first bite. And of course I'm thinking practicality. This is a good steak. I'd like to eat my steak. And so I recall very clearly date number 2 never happened with that boy. Oh gosh, let's see. I'm shooting off the hip here of just funny stories. Remember going on a date with a guy one time. I met him, I can't remember, some online site back many, many years ago. Nice guy, but he didn't eat cheeseburgers. I thought that was a crime. I know many of you are vegetarians, but cheeseburgers are one of my weaknesses, and really good French fries, cutting back. But remember, my daughter always says, Mom, you wouldn't even go out with that guy because of cheeseburgers. Well, that was kind of the final moment, but I was not attracted to him. I didn't have an interest, and he was so self-absorbed that the cheeseburgers were like, okay, if he doesn't even like cheeseburgers, there's not going to be another date. And it's kind of that moment where you just kind of know that there's just some people that are odd. And I have a wonderful girlfriend who told me very early on in my business, when I was trying to fix and solve everything, that you just can't fix odd. So it doesn't mean if you have a little bit of oddness that you can't have another odd person to be with. But if somebody rubs you wrong and is just odd, they're just not going to be your person, regardless of whatever they say or do. Odd is odd. And so that is something to be very, very cautious of. Gosh, I haven't been on many dates that I, recently at all. So I think about dates that are, I remember one guy, he took me on a date, and he brought some t-shirts from his t-shirt company. I was young, and before I even got home, I had a voice message saying, rate the date. And I was like, oh, are we a little over eager? I mean, in the 15 minutes to get home, he had already called and left a message. Of course, this was before cell phone days. And he wanted to know about the t-shirts, and he was so ambitious and excited, and he was over trying, which was sweet, but it was also a bit overdone. And, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, that's a bit much. And then I remember some really, good dates. Obviously, I've had some good ones. And remember one where actually the date of the father that I was, the one I married, the children's dad, on our first date, we were in a place that had a bunch of TV screens up of a football game. And he goes, you know what? I'm going to keep looking at those football screen moving and all that stuff. And so I'm going to take off my glasses. And I remember that being really endearing. He took off his glasses, and so he could focus on me because his eyesight wouldn't let him see the TV screen. So think about that, guys. Just take off your glasses or turn yourself. I've been on a date where the guy's like, I am going to put my back to the TV because that's not what I'm here for, but I am a male and I'm going to look if it's visible. And to me, that was a very attractive trait to say, I know I'm being present in this space right at this moment. And then, ending a date with a hug. The guys that go in for the kill and just like want to do everything at one time in the first date, it's actually not very attractive. And girls that do everything the first date, that's not attractive either. I know that sometimes temptation, or it's been a while, it's hard to kind of know where to stop. And I just say, know what your rules are before you go on a date, because sometimes it's a pretty good date and you get distracted and you throw everything to the wind. But then guys might be like, oh, that was fun, but I'll never go out again. I've talked to a lot of guys and they say if they have sex with a gal on the first date, pretty much they're thinking, hey, that was fun, but how many other guys does she do that with? Is what I've been told repeatedly from guys. So guys, you tell me, is that true? And for the women, if they have sex with a guy on the first date, they basically, if they're looking for a relationship, they try to make it way more elaborate. They try to pretty much, they've already got the chapel figured out where they're getting married and they want to jump ahead. Not quite to that extreme based on your age, but I find that people just want to jump forward so much because they think it's more. So you've got to be careful. Are you having sex to have sex, or are you having sex to have an intimate connection? Is it because you're building a relationship for long term, or is it because you're just cold? You need someone to keep you warm, I guess is the PG version. But I want you to think about that when you're dating too, and be aware. I will tell you, there's too many rules that on dating that drive me crazy. I just heard somebody bring it up again that he went on a date with a gal and she was all into this 3 days of waiting. And I want to shoot that rule down. If you like them, tell them. If you don't like them, tell them you're not interested. Move on. So many people are leaving unknown. I think it's sexy when a guy just gives a hug goodbye and no kiss, because the girl's got to want a little mystery too. And it's a little self-restraint. It shows some self-discipline. But if it's a kiss, make it an appropriate goodbye kiss, not a octopus slobber all over the face, because she's going to know you're a bad kisser and not go out with you again, even if you were a great guy. So have a little bit of mystery and mystique, but be authentic. And follow up. If you say you're going to call her tomorrow, call her tomorrow. And I love texting. I think texting can be great, but would you please stop never talking on the phone? I can't believe how many people come to me telling me that they never ever have a voice moment. And I'll tell you, that's pretty sexy when you can get to know and bond with somebody on their voice, even if you can't go out for a week or two, or it's a busy time when you only have a short amount of time. Talk on the phone, because you're trying to build a human relationship where you're together. And I know it's totally fun flirting. Trust me, I'm a big flirting texter and have fun people that I just love to giggle with. But if you're building a relationship, you got to do it a little differently. And I want you to think about it in a way that you're trying to get to the point where the two of you are together in the same space. If that makes sense, in the sense of saying, if you spend so much time with electronics separating you two, then when you actually are in a relationship and you're together day in and day out, you won't have built that foundation of talking because you texted. So unless you're going to text each other from room to room, you need to start building that nourishment within the time you are together. So it's an important part. I think about one of my favorite dates that I went on was somebody I'd been dating for a little bit, and I was in a holiday funk. I've always been kind of in a bit of a holiday funk since my divorce because of all the family traditions that changed, and since my mom's passing and things. And he got that, and he just said, "Okay, I'm just going to surprise you." And he made an entire day agenda, picked me up and said, okay, just have a change of clothes, and that's all I got to know, and it was going to be a full day. And so took me out for a couples massage out at a spa a couple hours out of town, and had a beautiful lunch, and then went off to a fun winery that was just a hoot, a really neat group of people, and really had fun talking together, and then went out and saw lights, and then after seeing some beautiful lights, went and heard beautiful Christmas music, and really said, hey, you're worth it. And that was awesome. Even though he ended up not being the one, he's always somebody that I think of as he got it. He was present, he was available, and he was ready to be engaged in a relationship. And I'm so happy he has found his one person that really has made a difference for him. But it was the difference between saying, I'm willing to be all in. And what I hear so often on dates is people are like, well, I don't want to spend more money if she's not going to be the one, or I don't want to invest in this relationship if it's not going to be the one. Nobody knows the outcome. I mean, I'm spiritually gifted and I've predicted many a things, but the reality is we don't know until we throw it all in. It's a bit of a gamble. It's quality poker game, hopefully done well. But you got to kind of say, hey, I'm willing to try and see what happens. And that is huge. It's important to just try and see and stop worrying about all the dollars. If you're tight on a budget, go out for dessert and go out and just do happy hour. Make it the effort to say to someone, I think you're worth it. Because if a guy takes a lady out, the lady will return it in different gestures. Maybe she'll buy a gift, and after a few dates, she'll treat for something. It's really just about investing in the long-term relationship. So prepare yourself for success. I remember going on a date with somebody new. We'd really hit it off and talked a bunch and texted ahead of time. And I had the whole day free. I had no kids, which was literally a miracle. It rarely ever happened. And so I wanted to go to the beach really, really badly. And it was pretty funny. We're walking around and just enjoying the waterfront. And I kept bringing up the beach, like to the point where it was ridiculous. And then I guess the third time I said it, he finally goes, so did you want to go to the beach? And I go, oh, actually, I have the day free, sure. And it was an afternoon date. And then as we're driving to the beach, it's about an hour and a half drive, he starts kind of laughing. I go, what are you laughing about? He goes, I realized when you said you liked the beach a couple times, I realized if you say it one more time, I told myself, I'm going to go for it and just take you to the beach for the day. And I didn't realize he was counting how many times I said I wanted to go to the beach. And so, ladies, stop thinking men don't listen. You guys, guys, listen really pretty darn well, actually. I'll give you a lot more credit from all the years I've been working with men. That it's fun. It's a good thing. And it meant a lot that he did that. Again, he wasn't the one, but we're still in touch. He's now married and has a child, and I'm really happy for him. And that's what it's about. These people come into your life and they enrich it. They make a difference. It's not always the long-term outcome. It's about being open and available. So I want to hear about your dates. I want to hear what you've done. I opened up my heart, and it's kind of funny and kind of sad when you think of the good and the bad dates. But it's time to share, and I want to know what you have to share. I really do. I want to hear what you think are good dates. I want to hear some of the best dates ever, and I want to hear about some of the worst tanking dates ever, the ones that you're like, oh my gosh, I just cannot even describe how bad this date was. It's a neat journey, and I'm really honored that I can kind of give you this last kick before I go on my break and take a little hiatus in the love industry. So share, let me know. Click if you like the video. If you didn't like the video, let me know why. Let me know what I could share more of. But I'm really here to support you on your journey, and I am ever so thankful and so glad that I've been able to work so closely with people for the last 4 years on their love journey. And I just want more people to fall in love before I take my break. So let you become one of my last of my success stories before my hiatus. Thank you for being part of the journey with me. Please join me. I can hardly wait to hear your updates. And I really want to hear these dates. I want to hear the good and the bad ones. All right. It's part of the fun part of what I do. So thank you for being you.